Hey everyone, we are the Garza Twins. I'm Britta.
And I'm Carly.
We would love it if you would subscribe down below. We do a lot of favorites videos like this one. We do a weekly favorites series that's more lifestyle focused that we post every Friday. Get ready with me's, all that jazz. Today we're doing our May favorites.
We actually don't have a ton this month.
No.
So it should be pretty quick, but good stuff. So let's get into it.
Okay, first we can start with the beauty things because like Carly said, there's not very much this month. But this is the Vacation scent of the world famous Vacation sunscreen company, and we had wanted this for a long time.
Fragrance.
Yeah, the fragrance. So many of our friends have raved about it, and we got it in the FabFitFun box, so super jazzed about that. If you're unfamiliar with the Vacation ink,
Smell it? I haven't worn it yet. Britta's been wearing it.
Vacation ink, their whole brand is like old school sunscreen vibes, like 80s, 90s. Everything looks super retro. I think they do branding better than any other brand. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Like it's
This
so
actually
creative.
way more floral than I had remembered.
Yeah, it's just really creative. And Tommy and I went to Florida with his family, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring this as like my only perfume there. And I wore it every day. I got lots of compliments on it. It really just does smell like that old school sunscreen smell.
It really does.
You definitely get like, I feel like maybe there's a little bit of coconut in here though. Do you think? I think
White florals.
white florals.
I think banana.
Banana. Yeah, maybe that's because white. Yeah, you get
Maybe
like
like some
floral,
creamy musk too.
Yeah, like the floral top notes, and then it dries down to more like a creaminess. But it's so nice and fresh and like really perfect for the summer.
Okay, I have a makeup favorite that I actually can't believe I haven't talked about, but it's the Haus Labs concealer, and I got this back in November during the sale, but I never put it in like a favorites video because I'm still testing it. And I really love this. I'm the shade 11 Light Neutral, and it's such a good shade match for me. This shade was sold out forever, which is the reason I didn't buy it sooner. But this formula is so interesting. It has a lot of skincare in it, like active skincare, so I can't really speak to if that's working. Like I haven't noticed a huge difference, but I love the applicator. It is like a flocked petal shape, but I don't know how the applicator and the wiper work. I feel like it never applies too much product, and you're never like, I feel like there's so many concealers that are like glopping off and you're like, this is so like such a bad experience to apply, and then you're wasting a ton of product. The perfect amount of product comes out. To me, this is kind of like a creamy moussey formula. It has body, it's not super thin, and I think the thing that I like the most about it is I have so many concealers I've tried that look really pretty and like natural under the eyes, but they are pretty dewy. And yeah, that's like nice for the summer, but I don't always want my under eye to look dewy. I don't want it to look dry, but I don't want it to look like wet either. And this is like a natural finish in like the true sense of the word. Like it has it looks like the finish of skin. It doesn't look dewy. If anything, it looks slightly matte, but it's not drying at all. And I was really surprised by that, but it made sense because I see in a lot of their campaign imagery them putting it all over the models' faces. Even like Lady Gaga will put it all over. And because it has that sort of natural finish, I feel like it does make more of like a good foundation product too. But I don't use it like that because it's pretty expensive. And I love the custom component. I really love everything about it. The shade is like slightly light for me. I wish there was a shade that was a little bit deeper because the tone is really good. It actually is neutral. Blends out really well. It lasts all day, and it doesn't fade. And if it's like a little bit faded, it just is so natural. Like it doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look dry.
And it's like medium coverage.
Yeah, I'd say it's like medium, but a pretty high medium. Like it's pretty good coverage.
Okay, BK Beauty sent us some of their best-selling brushes a while ago, and we've tested a lot of them as Carly has them all.
Yes,
These
aren't all of them, but these are all the ones I use every time I do my makeup.
What?
Yeah.
I only use these two.
Oh my god, I love them. You guys, these are good.
No, they're really good, but I was gonna say this one is my favorite by far. Like the BK Beauty 107.
The one I had talked about in a video saying like, oh, I really want to buy that brush for bronzer.
Yeah.
And then they offered to send us some.
The way it blends out bronzer, it's like that perfect. You've seen bronzer brushes be this shape.
They
for
don't
sure.
even advertise it as a bronzer brush. I just saw it and I knew it would be a good bronzer brush.
But it's I feel like the reason that it works so well is because it's dense, but it's definitely fluffy. So I feel like it just like it's dense enough to pack on. Like I press the bronzer into my skin and then I'll like slightly start to like blend it out, and it just blends out perfectly without being streaky. It's the perfect powder bronzer brush.
It's so good, and I don't know if you guys, you heard me complain about my old bronzer brush, the shedding, and I just hated how it even blended, and I'm like, why do I have this? I'm so happy I have one I like now.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then the other one I use every day is the BK Beauty 109. I don't know the intention.
This is my most used brush.
Yeah, I don't know the intention behind this, but I use it to blend out cream bronzer. And if I'm wearing a cream blush, I'll do the cream blush, but cream bronzer every day. And I didn't think I would like it as much because I had been using the Merit brush for that, but that one's super dense and like a foundation brush. I like that this one is angled, and I feel like I can be so precise with the cream bronzer because I lay it down and you can like really target the areas you want it, so I feel like I end up using less product.
Agreed, and it's because it has some fluffiness to it. It's not just this like super dense brush, which actually I find is a thing with other brushes. It actually blends out so easy. I used it today on cream bronzer and cream blush, which is all I have on. So good. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly talk about the rest. So between the two concealer brushes, I know this is shocking because everyone loves the A506, but I like the 110 more.
That's a concealer?
Yes.
Powder?
No.
Oh.
They just call it the concealer brush.
Oh.
I do this on my eyes, and it like blends out the concealer flawlessly. It presses it down, and it just looks so good. I like this one, and I know everyone likes it, but I like this one even more. So I wanted to mention that because I feel like it doesn't get any love, and I would have never asked for that, and so I'm really glad that they sent it to us. The BK Beauty 112 I use for cream highlighter every time I use highlighter.
I did like that one.
My favorite is the Rose Ink cream highlighter, and I like swirl it in the pan and then dab it on my cheekbones, and I have never had a more flawless application. I even was looking at like photos of myself recently, and I was like, wow, my cheek looks really good, and then I forgot that I started using this for cream highlighter.
Yeah, that one I would say is one of the more loosely packed.
Yeah, like I looked at this and I was like, how am I going to use this? Like to me it's too small for a blush brush, even though Jen Phelps uses it for blush often. And it's kind of loose. And then I was like, oh, highlighter, because you never want to apply like a dense brush in highlighter because then it's going to be way too much. And I have found this to be the perfect highlighter brush. And then I use the 101 for foundation. And at first I thought this was way too big, and honestly it is. It's a little big for my face, but I love how fluffy it is for summer foundation application because I was using the MAC foundation brush, and while I still like that, I just find that gives you like so full coverage into the summertime. Like I just want to wear like the tiniest amount of foundation, and I feel like I can just put some on my face, and when I use this to blend it out, I feel like it stamps it in so you're getting some coverage, but it just blends it out to be so much like thinner and less like heavy on the face. And so I really love this for like a, I don't know, lightweight foundation application, if that makes sense. I'm sure if you like really packed it on, it could be like more of a full coverage situation, but I don't want that. And then the 113 I use for strategic powder, so I'll just put it in my powder, which I think is what this is for. And
yeah,
then,
it reminded me of the Morphe one that I use.
Yeah, and then just like, you know, just with my face powder. So I use these every time I do my makeup, and I'm so impressed. I swear my makeup looks better.
Yeah, they're really good. I really couldn't live without this one. The 107, like,
yeah, or this one, the 109.
Yeah,
like yeah, those are cream products, and I bet you could even use this for foundation.
Yeah.
This is a really versatile brush.
Yeah, or for sure concealer.
Yeah.
Our TV show favorite of the month is Hacks, and we usually only put TV and weekly favorites, but I had to talk about it here because it is one of my new favorite TV shows possibly of all time. Like, it's so good. If you haven't watched it, it follows Deborah Vance, who is kind of a like, I don't want to call her washed up, but how would you describe her? As like a comedian.
To me,
she's just like a little past her prime.
Yeah, I was trying to find out who this like could possibly be based on. Not based off of, but
I don't think it's based off anyone, is it?
No, but it was reminiscent of Betty White to me. Like someone that found
okay.
success late in her career. So like Betty White age when she found success. Like
Well, she has a resurgence, but that's not how the show starts.
True.
Like
Okay,
she starts off with like a little bit past the prime of her career, I would say. And so she's kind of struggling a little bit to keep her momentum, and she has a Vegas residency. She's lived in Las Vegas.
Did we say she was a comedian?
I thought I did.
You did.
Yeah.
I think you did.
Like her whole life. And so at the beginning of the series, you see that her manager is like, okay, we're going to pair you with a young writer to kind of like rejuvenate your comedy and like
bump up your jokes.
yeah, just like make it a little bit more modern. And she's obviously against this. She's like, I don't need help. I'm fine. But they set him up. So Ava comes to work for Deborah, and there's some like animosity at the beginning, but I think pretty quickly they become like friendly. There's like obviously some like bickering, but they become close. And so the whole first season, you kind of see them like working side by side and kind of like her whole journey in Vegas. And then each season has a theme. So like the second season is her on tour. And then the third season, which the season finale just came out today, so I haven't watched it yet, but is all about her trying to get a late night spot on television. So it's just, I love the whole concept behind it. Like that, first of all, that the main characters are both female is amazing. And all the male characters on the show are also like feminists, great characters, which is rare. Like, I think the whole dynamic is just rare for TV, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a really unique show. I will say for me, it was kind of slow to start. Like, there would be really good one-liners, but the actual, like, story, I was like, this is, like, it was a little all over the place. But I feel like that's just them getting their footing.
Yeah.
Because now on season 3, it's much more like buttoned up.
It's the best season.
Has much more of like a clear arc. I think that's like, we don't like know much about TV writing, but the first 2 seasons, I was kind of like, what's happening? But third season has been like really good.
So good. I'm like sad it's ending. And if you've watched, Jimmy and Kayla are our favorite characters. Jimmy is both Ava and Deborah's manager, and then Kayla is like his assistant turned business partner. Yeah. And their dynamic is so funny.
So funny.
Kayla is arguably the funniest on the whole series. She's hilarious.
Her like sense of humor is so real. Like sometimes I'm like, is this lady real? Like it's just, like she, I don't know how else to describe it, but she like jumps off the TV as like someone in your house. Like yeah, it's really hard to describe.
Well, I think she says the things that like we're all thinking, but you wouldn't say out loud.
Yeah.
Like she says these like crazy things, and Jimmy will look at her and be like, "What?" But it's like we were all thinking that Kayla is just the one that said it. So overall, it makes me laugh every single time.
Really good. I'm looking forward to watching the finale too. Okay, before we get into our like normal book favorites, I have a cookbook favorite. This is I need more book darts. I talked about how I use the book darts. They're like these little silver darts that you can put on pages. I have to buy more for this book, so I have Post-it notes right now. But it's Snacking Cakes by Yusi Arefi, I think is how you say her name. And I want to say that I had this book saved on Amazon before Jake Gyllenhaal talked about it, because I became obsessed with the idea of snacking cakes after Molly Baz's cookbook had a recipe in there, and I was like, a snacking cake, that's such a good idea. Like basically a cake you can eat any time of the day for any occasion, and they typically either don't have frosting or they have like a light glaze. Like they're not layered, they're single layer cakes, they're not that sweet. You get it. That's what a snacking cake is.
Dare I say I like prefer icing to frosting a lot of the time.
Yeah. And so when I searched on Amazon snacking cakes, this was the only cookbook that came up. And then apparently Jake Gyllenhaal talked about it on the Smartless podcast, and it started to blow up. So then I ordered it before it sold out. But it's so good. I've made 2 cakes only so far, but all within this month, so that's why I wanted to put in with the favorites. I made the powdered donut cake. And it was,
that one was good.
It was so good. It has, I forgot that donuts used to have a ton of nutmeg, like back in the day.
I think old-fashioned donuts.
Yeah, like old-fashioned donuts have like basically their only flavor is nutmeg. So it has so much nutmeg in here. When I first put it in the baking mix, I was like, that's a lot, but it was perfect. It tasted so good. And then I made chocolate peanut butter cake. It had a peanut butter glaze. My only complaint with this one, well, kind of a few. Actually, I need advice because Britt and I try to avoid like bad for you oils,
and especially in like high doses.
Well, this would not be a high dose. You have a piece of cake. You're like, it's such a small percentage. But anyway, Most of her recipes call for some sort of neutral oil. She says canola or grapeseed. Do you guys have a suggestion? I used applesauce as a 1-to-1 replacement in this cake, and it was good, but I do think it took away how moist the cake could have been. So I'm looking for other suggestions for the rest of these cakes.
My thought was coconut oil, but if you've tried that.
Yeah, do you think it would overpower? Because I was just worried about the coconut flavor. And then the other thing is that I didn't realize that the chocolate cake also had peanut butter in the cake and peanut butter on the glaze. And so, I don't know, I might have left out the peanut butter in the cake. I feel like it didn't need all the peanut butter. And then this one's next on my list, chocolate chip espresso and the minty chocolate malt cake.
That one looks good.
This one I actually have like ingredients on my grocery list because I was like, oh my gosh. And I think one of the best things about this book is that they're basically like all variations of the same thing. So like she uses like literally the same measurements of like flour and sugar, and her ingredient list is like as how you add it to one bowl. So it's very simple. Like you don't even have to look at the directions. You just add as you look down the ingredient list. Well, you do have to look at the directions because she usually has you froth eggs first, and with the froth eggs with the sugar until it's frothy, and then you add all the dry ingredients. But it's pretty simple. You make everything in one bowl. It doesn't require a mixer. Like this honestly couldn't be easier. There's a few kind of funky ingredients that are...
We have to use that good almond icing recipe I found on one of them.
Yeah, but doesn't this one look good?
Yeah, but next time we gotta put an almond icing on something.
And the whole thing was only like $13, and honestly, I think I will be gifting this to people if I ever have friends like buy a house or something.
Yeah, with like it would be cute in like a little basket with measuring cups.
Yeah, because it's just such a good cookbook. I mean, I've said the reviews are crazy. People are like, this is the best cake cookbook ever. Simple treats for anytime cravings. I love her whole like, idea behind this.
Okay, my favorite book of the month was The Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I'm just gonna read the little... I don't like to give away spoilers. I'm trying like really good to be better about that. So the book description on Goodreads, the beginning part just says, this summer they'll keep their promise. This summer they won't give in to temptation. This summer will be different. Lucy is the tourist vacationing at the beach house on Prince Edward Island. Felix is the local who shows her a very good time. The only problem, Lucy doesn't know he's her best friend's younger brother. So the book starts with Lucy on Prince Edward Island. She's waiting for her best friend to get there. Her best friend's flight is like delayed or till the next day. Something happens and she's like, I can't come, like have a good time, I'll see you tomorrow. So Lucy goes to this bar and she sees this cute boy. She starts flirting with him and it's Felix. She doesn't know it's her best friend's brother. So that's how it starts. It like sets up this will they won't they situation, and then I don't even know if it's each chapter. It must be. Oh, I'm reading this right now. A lot of the book stays in present day, which I like about it. So it's every few chapters they flash back. Every few chapters they flash back. But basically we see Felix and Lucy mostly on Prince Edward Island. There's like one chapter or section of the book where they're at her flower shop in Toronto. But mostly it's on Prince Edward Island and it's them and her best friend, and we just kind of see their dynamic and like where they're at in their lives. Like some chapters they're both seeing other people, sometimes they're single, and so I really liked that it kind of always ties back to the island. They kind of always tie back to that first day they met. And their dynamic is just super cute. I loved them both. I will say I definitely liked Felix more than Lucy. But he's like a little more easygoing.
Yeah, I love her best friend in the book too.
I love her best friend as well. Well, a lot. I liked all the characters and the way that the author describes the island. I'm like, I want to go here. Like, she really sets the scene of this like picturesque little island on the water with like a nice ocean breeze.
Yeah, I'm not done reading it, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but I will say I was such a breath of fresh air to have a scene that isn't Nantucket, like in a summer. I feel like every summer book takes place on the East Coast.
Yeah, and this is in Canada.
Yeah, and it was so refreshing to be like, oh, a new place that still has those elements, but like
I was gonna say just the way they talk about like the oyster shucking contest. So it has those types of like vacation-y vibes in Nantucket that you would assume.
But less pretentious.
It's less pretentious and more so like the people that live on the island or like go to the island. It's kind of like a best kept secret is like what I gathered, and people love it. So like all the people there know each other, love it, love each other. I really loved it. I gave it
A 5 out of 5.
Oh wow, I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. I didn't read Carly's last book.
Oh really?
No, but I read
Every Summer After.
Every Summer After.
Which
I
is
loved
still
that
my
one
favorite.
too.
Yeah, I love Every
I just found it to be an easy read. I read it on an airplane, almost the whole thing. Like, it was very easy to read. It flowed really nicely. I like the way
writing is so good.
I love the way it was formatted. Like Carly said, how sometimes they would flash back, but for the most part, it was in present day, and like you would pick up like the 3rd summer, the 4th summer, the 5th summer, and then by the end they like had known each other for a really long time, so you could see like their connection growing. It all felt very authentic. I loved the characters, I loved the writing. Easy 5. Okay, my favorite is going to be one of my favorites, I feel like, this year, of course, because it's Funny Story by Emily Henry. I finished this at the beginning of May, so I'm including it in May because that's when I finished it. So this story follows Miles and Daphne, and they both get broken up with. Daphne was engaged, Miles was in a long-term relationship, and since Daphne has to move out of the house she was in. So basically they both get broken up with, and their partners start dating each other because they are childhood best friends. And before Daphne and her fiance get engaged, he sort of freaks out and is like, actually, I want to be with her. She's been my best friend the whole time. She knows really no one else in Michigan where the book takes place. And so she's forced to move in with Miles. Because he now needs a roommate as well, because his girlfriend is now with Daphne's fiance. And kind of like, when I first heard the premise, I was like, this sounds weird and like unrealistic. But then when you're reading it, you're like, this actually feels like it would happen.
Well,
like,
did you mention that she moved there for him, so she had no friends or
yeah,
family?
so she doesn't know anyone in Michigan, so it makes sense. And basically it's them as roommates, and also kind of like navigating their individual heartbreaks, trying to heal, trying to find like fun again. And our favorite Luna's here. And Miles' character is from this small town in Michigan that they live, and he sort of wants to show Daphne that this place could be a great place for her, and that she doesn't have to move just because her and Peter, her fiance, have broken up. So they go on these little like adventures, and I thought it was so fun and cute.
Yeah,
and
that was cute.
We were born and raised in Wisconsin, and so a lot of what was described in this book is so accurate, which I believe Emily Henry is from Michigan, and I think she lives in Ohio, so she very much like knows, I don't know, just like Midwest summers. And we didn't even do a lot of the Midwest summer things like boating or anything, but we did grow up around the Great Lakes, and how they even described like all the little like vegetable stands and like all the farmers. It was so accurate. It was so accurate to like a Midwest summer, and I loved how descriptive it was. Just like
the descriptions were amazing.
Yes.
Like that little restaurant they
I
go to
know.
with the food trucks.
Yeah, just like Emily Henry's, all her books. Like all the descriptions are so beautiful, and how she describes people and emotion is next level. I don't know if she I don't know how she understands human emotion so well. She says things in each book that just like stop me in my tracks, and I'm like, how does she put to paper like what so many of us have experienced or have thought, but in like such a profound way? I find no other author does this, which is why she's my favorite author. I still gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I won't say many things else about it because I don't want to give too much away. Also like every Emily Henry book, this also explores like parent-child relationships, and
I think that was my favorite part about it.
Yes, and friendships. Daphne has a friend she works with, and there's like ups and downs there. Sibling relationships, and I love how all her books do that. Like it's a love story, but there's so many other relationships that are explored, and they're all beautiful and they're all complex, just as all of our relationships are. So I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it, but I'm ranking it. This is my official Emily Henry rank list, if you want to know. I'm ranking it last place, but I loved it. Number 1 is Book Lovers for me. Number 2 is Happy Place. Number 3 is Beach Read. Number 2 and 3 are so close for me they could be interchanged. Number 4, People We Meet on Vacation, and number 5 is Funny Story.